like once a month we get news that they're remaking another 80s classic. And news now is that they're remaking An Officer and a Gentleman. Now, this is a great movie, the original from 1982. It starred Richard Gere, Deborah Winger, Louis Gossett Jr., and let's not forget David Keefe, who was great in the film as well. And it was directed by Taylor Hackford. Now, Taylor Hackford these days is married to Helen Mirren, of all people. And An Officer and a Gentleman was a blockbuster. It had that great, the great Joe Cocker song, Up Where We Belong, and the film ended and, Richard Gere picked up Deborah Winger, and it was just so romantic and so sweet. It was a great ending to a really, engrossing film. And they're remaking it with Miles Teller. Now, Miles Teller is an interesting actor. The first time I remember seeing Miles was in the Footloose remake, which is another 80s remake. And I thought he was kind of fine as this hick kid. And just recently, Miles has been in Top Gun Maverick. And now we have him doing another remake with An Officer and a Gentleman. So if you know the premise for An Officer and a Gentleman, it's about a Navy aviator who's kind of at odds with his drill instructor, and he falls in love with a factory worker, and that's kind of the plot. So, you've got some romance with Richard Gere and Deborah Winger, and you've got these intense training scenes between Richard Gere and his drill instructor, Louis Gossett Jr. And Louis Gossett Jr. won an Oscar for An Officer and a Gentleman. And Richard Gere, his popularity went through the roof thanks to An Officer and a Gentleman. And Deborah Winger once again established herself back in the early 80s there, why she was such a fascinating female to watch on the screen. She was a quality actress back in those days. And it was just performance after performance. Has anyone seen Urban Cowboy? Yeah. Urban Cowboy was great. Deborah Winger was great in that movie. And I really can't imagine another actress other than Deborah in that film. She had that spark, Now, history tells us that Richard Gere and Deborah Winger did not get along during the making of An Officer and a Gentleman. In fact, some sources have said over the years that they simply hated each other, and it was a real chore to film a lot of their scenes. But if you watch the movie, you would not think that there is a problem. They have chemistry. It is a steamy film. They look great together, and they really acted well together. So what I will say is Miles Teller has been in these 80s remakes and 80s themed films before, and he was in Footloose and Top Gun Maverick, and I think he's kind of well cast here to a point, but he will only be as good as his female co-star, who I think they'll have to really, be particular about that. I'm sure they'll go through some chemistry screen tests for sure, because they really need the chemistry to be on point. An Officer and a Gentleman excelled in the romance scenes between Richard Gere and Deborah Winger. So Miles Teller and who, that is unknown. But for my money, for the Officer and a Gentleman remake, I probably would have went with another Top Gun Maverick star. I think I would have cast Glenn Powell. Glenn Powell would have been my choice for the Officer and a Gentleman remake, because I just saw Hitman recently, and I think Glenn Powell is an exciting actor. So Miles Teller, he's probably, signed on now, I think. but Glenn Powell would have been interesting. So, my choice would have been him. 2 Top Gun Maverick stars, Miles Teller and Glenn Powell, eh? And it seems that Miles Teller has got the gig. But An Officer and a Gentleman, the other thing they'll have to get right is the Louis Gossett Jr. role. I think Samuel L. Jackson's a little bit too old, so if anyone thinks Sam Jackson would be great, Sam Jackson 20 years ago would have been cool, but now, who could do it? That is food for thought. Who will play the Louis Gossett Jr. role in An Officer and a Gentleman? Who could steal that role and walk away with an Oscar, potentially? But maybe the female could this time. In Australia, they tried to do a musical stage show of An Officer and a Gentleman about 15 years ago. And it didn't do so well. I think they canned it after a week or two. Maybe it lasted a month. But they tried to turn An Officer and a Gentleman into a stage musical. So this is a property that, they want to bring a new lease of life to. So I'm up for the Officer and a Gentleman remake. Definitely up for it. And I think it will only be as good as its cast. The chemistry between the couple has to be spot on, just like the old film. And the chemistry between the young Navy guy and the drill instructor, that has to be red hot too. So I think Miles Teller cast in An Officer and a Gentleman is an interesting choice. It is probably not my choice, but I do think he's good. So it's all down to the cast, whether it sinks or swims, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang. But in the meantime, please check out these other episodes.